My name's Angela Mercer, and I was born in the Philippines, and I grew up in Milwaukee. My dad was in the Navy, so and he came from Milwaukee, so we went back to Milwaukee when he got out of the Navy, and he met my mom in the Philippines. And I was stationed, I went through basic training in Lackland Air Force Base, because I was in the Air Force, and then after technical school, then I went to Hahn Air Base in Germany, and then I went to Minot, North Dakota. I enlisted when I was 17. My mom had to sign for me, and she only gave me two choices. She said the Air Force or the Navy. She wouldn't sign for the Army or the Marines. So I turned 18 in basic training. It was quite the experience, being as young as I was. And but my dad told me, he says, just take it in stride. They're going to yell at you. They're supposed to yell at you. They're going to break you down and build you back up. And just, don't take it personal. Just do what you're told, and just do the best you can. So I followed his advice. After basic training, the technical school for security police is basically a bus ride across the base. So that's where I went, and then I did technical training for security police there, and I got honor on the honor roll for security police for the tech school. Very long. I was a lot of information in a short amount of time, and you really had to study, you really had to pay attention and follow orders, and they didn't give you a whole lot of free time. Even being out of basic training, they still kept an eye on you, and you still had to, be accountable for your time. I mean, I remember one time I was really sick, and I was all day at school, then I spent the night in the emergency room, and then I was back the next day in school. So I didn't want to get washed back. I didn't want to, I wanted to graduate and move on. I actually got orders for Texas, but there were a couple of other people, because you could swap if you were the same rank and you wanted to go someplace else. If they approved it, you could swap. So I had two people that wanted to stay in Texas, so I got to choose between Germany and Greece. Sometimes I think I should have chose Greece, but Germany was an experience. I spent 2 years in Germany, and it was I don't know. It was an experience, just like everything. Hahn Air Base is closed now, but it was by the Rhine River, and it's a smaller base. They had F-16s, so we would guard the flight lines, the planes, the weapons, and they had two remote areas that we would take vehicles to, and then we'd stay there overnight and guard those areas. I taught. It was a lot of rain, but Germany was great. The people were really nice, and I ended up really enjoying myself. I spent 2 years there, and they were afraid to put me. I got put on a flight that never had a woman on there before, and I was on, like, A flight would be all day shift, and then I was put on like C flight, and we would work 3 swings, 3 mids, which is the night shift, and then 3 days off, and that's how we would rotate. It didn't matter what holiday or nothing. You just rotated 3 swings, 3 mids, 3 days off. And then they were afraid to put a woman on that flight, but I got put on that flight because they needed to do it eventually. So, but I didn't have any issues. The guys were great. the sergeants, they made sure you did what you had to do, and they helped you out when they needed to help you out. And the people that were lower in rank, it was like brothers. It was a family because you worked with them every day. You were off when they were off, so you spent time together. And the barracks, we got into some nice barracks, and you shared a room. I shared a room with another woman, but the actual barracks were all co-ed, but your individual rooms were. So it was fun. I really enjoyed the military. I really enjoyed Germany, and went to Oktoberfest 2 years. And that was a lot of fun. You met people from all over the world. And it was one big, basically a big party. But it was a lot of fun, and you got to, I went to Paris when I was there, traveled all over Germany, went to Spain, and you could just sign up for bus trips, and because you're already over in Europe. But yeah, on the flight line, the younger guys would come in, and a lot of them didn't know how to drive stick shift because their vehicles were little Volvos sometimes. So I taught a lot of guys how to drive stick shift when I was there, because I got taught before I went in the military. Yeah, I went to North Dakota. They call it Why Not, Why Not? Because there's a lot of people go there because they had the missile side, and then they had the B-1 bombers. So I was stationed with the bombers on the flight line. So that was an experience. There was a lot of security police there, and again, we did that rotation, the 3 swings and mids, and then 3 days off, and it was cold. In North Dakota, that wind is terrible, but we'd have, well, even in Germany, we'd have exercises. We'd week-long training exercises, and it'd be the whole base. So it was cool. Like in Germany, when they'd have the exercises at the end of the very last day, there'd be like 2 of us in front of, well, not like each where the plane is stored, like the F-16 is, there'd be each of us, and you could see another, because you always had 2 people. You always had to have 2 people. And so you can see the person guarding the next plane. And you always knew when the exercise was going to be over with, because then you could see all the pilots scramble, and they'd be scrambling to each plane, and then they'd be taken off. And that was always cool, because besides the exercise being over with, it was always neat watching all the F-16s, taxi one after another, and then just take off and do their maneuvers and exercise. So, but even in Germany, even in North Dakota, you had to, you're always doing exercises, even with we had there'd be areas where it's just the weapons, and you had the tower, and you had the double fences that were alarmed. In between the fences are alarmed. Then you got a fire team on the outside patrolling. You got a fire team on the inside, and you always had like a staff sergeant or master sergeant. Every shift, they'd come in and do exercises. They'd set off an alarm, and you have to respond. And that's pretty neat. Sometimes, every day at work, I'd carry an M16, and then we have M16 with the grenade launcher, 203 grenade launcher, and then we'd have the M60 machine gun, and then the fire team leader. So then we'd be in the peacekeepers vehicles, and so they're all armored. You could barely see out of them, but they had the little holes in the turret on top for the M60. So it was I had a good time. I'm glad I didn't. Thought about staying in, and just circumstances. I ended up getting out. I mean, Desert Shield had started, and they had actually were still letting people get out of the military. And thought about staying in. They gave me orders to Turkey, and I wanted to take it, but some stuff was happening, so I ended up getting out. But then in like a couple months later, I ended up getting recalled back in. So I ended up going back to North Dakota for 3 months during Desert Storm. And so I was there during Desert Storm in North Dakota, which I wish I would have ended up just staying in, because then I would have ended up in Turkey anyways. But that's all right. After they let me out the second time, then I came back to Milwaukee and went to school and got a job. I don't think it was really too different. Basic training. The flight was women. In technical school, we were combined, and but I was, like I said, I was the only woman on my flight, and I think before I left, they got a couple more. But I don't think I was treated any differently. I did the best I could. When I was over in Germany, you have to reclassify, you have to keep training, and I was awarded top cop for for the quarter, and we had I helped we had people come in to our base, and our base was awarded, I can't remember which award it was, but because they had come and visited our when we were on duty, and I answered a lot of questions. I was able to they invited me to the ceremony when the base was awarded their award. But I did the best I could. I guess I didn't let it bother me if there weren't a lot of women, or I was never really felt that I was treated differently. I just did what I had to do, and did the best that I could.
All right. What do you hope for the future of veterans?
Well, right now I'm worried, but I'm hoping we don't get a lot of benefits taken away with the political environment. I hope they get the help, the ones that need it. I hope they can get the help they need, and I hope that help's always there for them. And I wish we'd get more younger veterans to join, like the VFW and the American Legion. But I didn't join these organizations until, like, I belonged to the auxiliary with the VFW because my grandfather and my dad, because I was stateside, but I belonged to the American Legion. And there's not a lot of younger veterans joining these organizations. And, I wish they would see the advantage to being around other veterans and what we can do for them and help them. Um, well, it's not the first time that I went on a long trip. I visited the Philippines with my mom because everybody on her side of the family is still, most of them are still over there. So I wasn't the first time I was on a plane for that long, for a long period of time, but it was exciting. And I was going with other military personnel, so it was exciting. I was anxious, I was nervous, and excited. Oh, I had to escort mentally. Um, I don't know the polite word to put it. She was mentally insane, and they grabbed me because I was on duty and I was the only woman. So they grabbed me, and I had to help escort her to the insane asylum. So, and she was a civilian, so we were in the back of the ambulance, and she was strapped down. That was an interesting night. It was, because at that time the security police was divided into two parts. You had the security part and you had the law enforcement part, and I was assigned to the security part, so I was, with the flight lines and the weapons and the planes and the secured areas. So, and then you had the law enforcement part. So sometimes I wish I would have stayed in, but I'm really happy with my life now. So, you always look back and, like they say, hindsight is 20/20. And I love my life now. And but sometimes you look back and you wish you would have did some things differently, but that would have changed what you're doing now. So no, I'm happy. And it's funny, my grandfather, he served during World War II, and he got a kick out of it because out of all his grandchildren, I was the oldest one, and I went in the military like him, and I drove a truck when I got out of the military like him. So he thought that was great. I don't regret going in the military. I'm glad I went in the military. It really, I used the benefits to go to school. I was able to get a VA loan for my home, and I met a lot of great people. A lot of great people outside the military, people that I've seen occasionally that I served with, and I still in touch with them on like Facebook, and I follow what they're doing, and they comment on what I'm doing, and I'm really glad that I served, and then I went in, when I did right out of the high school, and no regrets for that. I was in from '86 through '91, so it's been quite a few years since then. So I don't really break it down. I told you about the top cop and being on the honor roll and stuff, but I just, as a whole, I really enjoyed my experience. I don't think I can just break it down to, at a certain time, or just proud of what I did. We belong to the VFW Riders, so it's the motorcycle group, and it's a combination. With the Riders, it's a combination of the VFW, the auxiliary, and support members. And our goal is to help veterans. As a Riders group, we try to raise money, to help veterans, and that's. I think that's a great goal, and that's why we come. That's why we help and ride motorcycles. So.
Cool. What does, in general, for a young service person who may or may not have been deployed overseas, is there a space there space for a younger generation at the VFW?
Well, absolutely. Um, I know with the younger veterans, they're starting families, they have young kids, so it's hard. Um, like I said, I think I was in my 40s when I joined, the American Legion and the VFW, and the only reason I got involved is because Patch and Dan, who is a Vietnam vet, and I met him through motorcycles. He's the one that asked me to come because he was helping them start the riders group, and so I come to one meeting, and then next thing I know, I'm the treasurer. So he hooked me in right away, and we're still, he lives up north, but we go to visit them twice a year, and but yeah, I think there's a place for younger veterans here. It's going to be what you make of it. It's going to, some people, they think all we do is drink in the bar and all this stuff, and that's not true. We do, we have a lot that we do outside of the bar, and but it'll be what they make of it. If you want to, like anything, if you want to get something out of it, you got to show up, and you gotta put in the work and help, and you'll meet people, you'll meet great people, you'll have friends for a long time, and and there's always someone here to talk to. I wish we had, like you talk with Tank, and he's really involved. He stepped up as president of the Riders Group when I stepped down, and he's also on the House Committee, and he's on the board for the VFW. And he's a younger veteran, but if we can get them to show up, and get them involved, I think more of them would come. I mean, it's like every organization.
Right.
I've been a member of Aviator Wisconsin for, I don't know, 20-something years. And it's a motorcycle rights organization that focuses on education, legislation, and safety. And it's a statewide organization. And we struggle for members. We struggle to people to show up. And I think that's every organization nowadays. People, there's a lot going on, and people, their time is limited, and, when you're younger, you gotta, focus on your families, focus on your job, and sometimes you don't have a lot of extra time, which is a shame, because we all our organizations need good people. I mean, I was also part of a organization of veterans here in Kenosha, and there was several people from a lot of the different organizations, like the DAV, the American Legion, the VFW, and we were trying to figure out a way. We'd meet, I think, for 3 years, and we were trying to figure out a way how to attract younger members, how to attract veterans, how to attract younger members. And we had like a big event out at the Moose, a free event that we were trying to attract families and trying to attract members and veterans. It wasn't just one particular organization. It was just trying to attract veterans and show them what's out there for them, what kind of organizations are out for them. And it's hard. It's hard to get them involved. I have veterans that I work with at work, younger veterans. I'm one of the older veterans there at work, because all the Vietnam veterans, they've all retired, and so now I'm one of the older veterans, and I see the younger veterans, and I try to tell them what's going on and try to get them. And there's a few that I know. There's one individual who was asking me about the American Legion. He lives out in the county. He was asking me about the American Legion, and I was telling him about it. And but it's hard to get them involved. But I still try to. At least I can get them to buy raffle tickets when I'm selling raffle tickets. It goes to the relief fund and it goes to help veterans. So at least we can try doing that. It's hard. It really is. It's hard to get them involved. Even with our auxiliary, it just seems like there's just less and less people showing up. But it is nice when, as a group, we go out on a motorcycle ride with the riders group, and they see all of us together, and they ask questions. So that's one of the nice things about. I mean, in the American Legion has the Legion riders, So you see us out in groups, veterans groups, and so younger members, younger veterans, they ask questions. Even though some of our veterans move on to like motorcycle clubs and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that,